Okay, so slightly silly opening title. Welcome to the video release notes for 5.6. As you can see, a truly massive release and a gargantuan effort by the Prowler development team. So we see it was released Friday, so 3 days ago, just before the weekend. We have, as always, the cloud.prowler.com account, which is updated to 5.6 and all operational, logged in. So without further ado, let's jump into the release notes. First up, we have something that has been in the SDK since 5.5, but now fully available in the UI and the APIs. We have Microsoft 365. You'll see if you go into the previous release for 5.5, you may remember on a previous release video, I talked about how certain things come into the SDK before they're available in the API and the UI. So in 5.5 here, you'll see we did start with 17 new Microsoft 365 checks. That number of checks has now grown, but they are also surfaced all the way up through to the UI. So if we go and look in the UI, we can see, if we add a new cloud provider, that we now have Microsoft 365. We can enter our on Microsoft or custom domain name in there. And then, like with all the other providers, we can enter our credentials, and the instructions are directly linked from the provider to our docs page in case you're struggling with these credentials. But if you have already tried this with the CLI to test against Microsoft 365 checks, it'll be the same credentials you set up to use there. As in the background, it's just using the same SDK. And you can see here linking to the documentation. Okay, on to the next. Next up, we have compliance exports. Big community request this. Obviously, we've provided previously the ability to download export formats for findings. We're now doing the same in CSV with all the compliance frameworks. So as you see, I've clicked a compliance framework here. There's a download button now on all the compliance listings. And not only that, if you are downloading the findings pack from a scan, which I'll do here and extract it, you'll also find we've bundled all the compliance reports for that scan into a compliance subdirectory. So whichever way you're going through the UI or the API to get your downloads, your exports, all the compliances are now in there by default. So again, thank you for the community response on asking for this feature, and the dev team are super pleased to be providing it in 5.6. Another, again, huge release, really cool feature, Prowler Hub. Think of it as Docker Hub for Prowler artifacts. So any custom compliances, any of the default compliances, any of the default checks, instead of having to dig through our documentation page or dig through the repo to find them, we now provide a much nicer way of sharing, viewing, and understanding these. So you can see here, I'm inside a single Prowler check. It's going to tell me and pull from the repo the actual check metadata, what tests are run against that check to make sure it's working, and the same with compliances. So I know previously people at conferences have been amazed when we say, oh yeah, if you want to write your own compliance framework, it's literally just this specific JSON object in the repo. Prowler Hub makes it a lot easier to actually see that, visualize that. You can see within a compliance, we actually pull out visually which checks make up a compliance, which again has been a request from a UI way to do this in the previous releases or two since version 5. So we're happy that this is now available in Prowler Hub. Nice and easy to browse all the checks, and also you can see the raw compliance framework file if you want to as well. Like Prowler UI, there's a full API to this, versioned separately to the Prowler API, but it is all API driven. And so yeah, check it out, hub.prowler.com. Next, we have a very self-explanatory one, the delta indicator for findings. There's now a red dot for new findings since the last scan. Should make finding what's changed a lot easier. Another commonly asked piece of feedback, a threat score. Let's understand where we sit in a simple to understand number across all of our findings. So we've implemented that in something called Prowler threat score. And the idea with the Prowler threat score is it's just another compliance framework. You can download it, you can export it the same as you would with any other compliance framework, but it also grades out of 5 categories, out of 5, 5 being the most severe and needs focus, and 1 being the least severe. So we can see those categories here, things like IAM, and this will hopefully allow you to focus more if you have a lot of findings, you have a lot of environments. Threat score is unified across cloud providers, so you can compare a 5 to a 5, a 2 to a 2, etc. Another worthy of note compliance framework, SOC 2 for Azure, now also available. Go and check it out if you are an Azure-minded person. And one close to my tick list, again, thanks to Bogdan, on the community for this, is the ability to find unused service accounts within GCP. There's another GCP little nugget coming up I'm excited about as well, but being able to just create a list of unused service accounts, super useful for maintaining your IAM security posture within GCP. Now, next, a big one. So big, in fact, we're not actually going to go into it in this release notes because that would be a spoiler. We have a hands-on workshop event coming up in 2 days' time on Wednesday. If you want to understand everything about this new tool we are calling Prowler Studio, which allows you to automatically write new policies and checks for Prowler, you need to be at this workshop. Go and sign up there. The link's on the screen. And we promise you will not be disappointed for coming and seeing this new piece of the Prowler solution. Studio is designed to work with multiple AI models, model agnostic, supports multiple workflows and integrations, and automatically is trained to know how to generate checks for you based on your requirements. So should make adding custom checks a lot easier, should make submitting checks either directly to Prowler as a commit or to Prowler Hub, and it's just part of our growing Prowler platform. As you can see here, developer experience, making things easier. We have Prowler Studio, we have Lighthouse, which was demoed at RSAC, which is like a built-in AI assistant that you will see in 5.6 as well. Now, most of these feature lists we've already kind of covered, as you can see. Couple of things of note in here. URLs now have the ID, so if you link to a pop-up via URL, and send that to a colleague, they'll get to exactly the same page. So just usability. So for example, let's go and find a deep dive on a particular finding. If I copy that ID now and open a new tab, I will go back to exactly that same popped out finding, which wasn't the case previously. So again, just little usability improvements, which should hopefully make collaborating across a single Prowler organization useful from the app. So that's useful. We have some new default fixes in terms of, again, community reported issues with entering custom timeout durations when onboarding certain cloud providers. And then looking through this, everything else we've kind of covered. As I said, there's a lot more Office 365 checks than the 5.5 release. You can see them all listed here. They will be available through the UI now that Office 365 is supported in the UI, but obviously all the new policies go into the SDK, which is why they're listed here. And that pretty much concludes, as I'm sure you appreciate, a massive release. The last thing I will say is please do go and sign up for our webinar on Wednesday. I will see you there. Please come armed with questions. It is a live demo. We'll show you how to have AI start automatically writing more Prowler policies for you, and we'll see you then.